Welcome to the Gals Guide to the Galaxy podcast, where a group of gals gather for you one cool thing around our topic of the month. Is it ancient history? Is it breaking news? Is it safe for work? Well, that's up to each gal. All we know is that...
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Hello, Galactic Glamazons. It is a new month and a new theme at Gals Guide, and we are learning about women who, to quote my favorite documentary, or at least one of my favorite documentaries, is beautiful when she's angry. That's right, we're all angry. And really, in the last 20 minutes, we've really been definitely angry for a variety of reasons. But we're going to hone it into this month's episodes because we were talking about activists. We were talking about change makers. We were talking about disruptors. We were talking about survivors. And we were talking about pissed off women. So also, if we sound perhaps just a little bit different on your trusty podcasters, it is because we are, again, recording on Zoom. This is another thing of why we're mad. Not the thing, but just one of them. COVID. So Katie and I both have kids in school. So you know that means we're screwed, basically. Like, it's a nightmare that just keeps on happening. But it's been a series of our kids being sent home just because, or symptoms, or direct contacting, or just because. So to be on the safe side, we're on Zoom. So, you know, that's awesome because of two reasons. Number one, there's video of our crazy faces. So that's always nice. Eventually an animal will appear. I mean, Claire's got a skeleton. Just saying. If you're listening to this and you're not, oh, there's already a dog. There's dog right away. We're probably 30 seconds in. So, you know, quickly switch over to YouTube and watch the ridiculousness unfold. But the other reason that it's awesome that we're actually doing this over Zoom is we get to call up one of our favorite people in South Dakota. That's right. Claire is back with us, everybody. Woo! So my darling Claire, I mean, I don't know if Bonnie's going to cut me because I'm talking to you first. Bonnie likes to go first. But remind the good people about yourself and what you have been up to, because I think it's kind of a lot and it should have been more, but COVID. You've been up to since the last show.
Well, thank you for having me back. I am excited to be able to talk with smart, interesting, wonderful people.
And angry.
Yes, and angry. That's also fun. Since I've talked to everyone in podcast land last, I have been crowned Miss Art World South Dakota.
Yeah, you have. She's a queen. She's royalty among us now.
Mhm. I created my own podcast called The History of Modern Art with Claire. It's very snarky and salty and
listen
all
to
about
it. Yes, I love it. Love it.
Very amazing. I finished it this week and I was telling Trey about all the things. Oh.
Yep.
All of the art snark.
Oh, art snark. That's good.
Put it on a t-shirt, sticker. It's my gift to you.
The racist jokes hidden in paintings.
Oh, God. Yeah. Yeah, it's the worst. I mean, it could be Grecian. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And I suppose the other big thing I do is I paint dude bros in man caves.
Yes, you do. You're brodalesque, I believe.
Yes.
Look at that. I love them. I love all of the details that you go in there. I love seeing the rug. I love seeing those posters come to life. You have an Army of Darkness poster in one of them.
Yes, I do. It's
very
good
much
for a
approve.
man cave, right?
Absolutely. Fantastic. Well, I'm so glad you're here. Well, next up is a gal who is the Elizabeth Cady Stanton to my Susan B., the women's rights advocate with the skills to illustrate. Oh my gosh, and she's wearing the Susan B. shirt today too. Again, another reason to be watching this on YouTube. But it's Bonnie Phil-Edward, ladies and gentlemen. Yay, Bonnie! Yay! Bonnie, what have you been up to since the last episode? And tell the good people about yourself in case they're new for the first time.
I am a visual artist who does paintings of women throughout history. And currently I'm working on Margaret Hamilton.
Yay!
And she is a woman who led the team and hand wrote a lot of the code to get men on the moon.
Yeah.
And she is known because she set up a like backups is like a priority system because like oxygen is more important than some of the other things
crucial
on there. And at the time it was believed that the astronauts are highly trained and they would never hit a wrong button, and shit went wrong.
Apollo 13. Yeah. They didn't hit a wrong button, but shit went wrong
safely because of her.
Exactly. And Katherine Johnson. Yeah. The code definitely helped. I love it. Yay! Well, next up, the gal pal who is the Black Panther to my Angela Davis. The power of the people with the ability to put your ass in a hold if necessary, because she's done it in the last couple of weeks. It's Katie Harris. Yay, Katie! I keep wondering if I'm like going to short up this microphone by yelling for you guys, but I'm just so excited. But Katie, tell the good people about yourself and how you've survived these last couple of weeks.
It's been a couple of weeks. So, gosh, I started a new job and it's actually been amazing and I love it. I get to work with kids again and it's so good. Of course, as we've been talking about working with kids, like half of everybody's sick and it's not COVID, but we all have colds. And
it's also sinus season. Like everything's pollinating and my nose just goes, what? So
what is happening? Yeah. So everything's been good. I'm super looking forward to spending more time working with Gals Guide. And in fact, this coming Friday, well, no, it'll be done.
Yes.
September 1st, I'll be doing a truffle making demo.
Yes.
Last Friday.
There you go.
Exactly.
It's like we are working in a time machine when we record this show because it's like the past and the future. We don't know. I know it's X-Men Days of Future Past. That's what we're doing. So at some point, Katie will in the future or in the past have made, what was it you're going to make for us?
Oh, vegan milk chocolate truffles.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. And if you were in town or will be in town, because again, when this airs, Katie's food is amazing and it is a gift from the gods, people. So either you missed out or you didn't miss out, and kudos.
So as you're watching this, look ahead because Gals Guide always has something every week and it's always awesome. And I want to be there making more food, doing more of that. So, yes.
That's really our hopes and dreams. Good. We wanted books, but mostly we wanted Katie to make us food.
Or just food. I just shared on Facebook all the events we're doing, and I'm like, literally all of them have food. So, even if you're not sure about us yet,
there's food there. Exactly. I know. Food and books. I mean, like, we'll find a way to incorporate one or the other in a lovely way for it. I love it. Well, as for me, I am Dr. Leah Leach. I'm the executive director of Gals Guide, and I am really excited about this month. I'm a little pissed off, but not about this month, just about life in general. But I love seeing people turn negative things like tragedy and anger into positive change. I really do think that anger is an energy. It's telling you something that you are freaking sick of, and then saying, let's just not do that anymore. And then having positive change. So let's hope it's that. But it also gets ugly. And I get that it's loud and it's disruptive. And there's another side to it. You know, things like, I don't know, activists allowing for women to own their own house. What? That's just crazy talk. Having control of their own bodies. I wrote this before the Texas thing, and Bonnie's really mad about the Texas thing. So apparently, unless you live in Texas, control of your own body, which really we're still working at worldwide. We'll get there. But then, I don't know, also having a vice president of the United States that's female. It's these little things that activists have worked so hard for. And again, on the YouTubes, Malala Harris in action figure form. I don't know who's the fantastic person that bought you that. I think it was me. Oh, that one was Trey. Oh, that's right. Mine's to me. I got you AOC. That's right. I totally forgot my own gift. I am a terrible person. Yes, the giant AOC. Giant AOC. And then AOC. Yes.
Giant.
Exactly. Well, this is just in case you need to Godzilla on an entire state of Texas. I mean, I love it. Now, this is normally where I would say, who wants to go first? But we have established, Bonnie, you want to go first?
Sure.
I like how we've just slowly given up to the fact of, so Bonnie's going first then? You almost have to like have a wrestling match or a notarized document to be able to go first.
We need a doctor's note of why you need to go first.
Right? Yes. There you go.
What if my mom wrote a note?
Oh, that's even better. What if Vice President Kamala Harris wrote a note and said, on thus being podcast, I don't know why thus, and suddenly I'm like British royalty. Anyway, go ahead, Bunny. Who you got for us?
I've got kind of mostly two women.
Mostly two.
But, I'm going to be talking loosely around the Saudi Arabian women and their fight for equality and the right to drive.
Ooh.
So it's like adjacent to shit that's going on in the world right now.
Ironic.
We got a whole big wormhole of all the crazy stuff involved in all this stuff.
Right? We picked such a great time to cover activists.
Crazy little facts and stuff.
Sweet. I dig it.
So, on the plus side, Saudi law requires that, I put men and women be paid equally. But, you know, that's supposed to be a thing in the U.S. too. That's the
We're still working on that 76 cents to the dollar.
Saudi women are highly educated and make up 70% of university students.
Nice.
And also receive scholarships to go to university abroad, which many do.
Gotcha.
So they grow up, they get educated, and many of them return.
Mm-hmm.
They have male guardianship laws, which pretty just means that they are a minor for forever. I was watching an interview with a woman, and she was talking about she's 40, and I'm guessing either divorced or widowed, but her son is about to turn 18, and when he does, he will be her legal guardian. And she's like, if this doesn't get changed before he's 18, I'm kicking his butt. Yeah,
that sounds terrifying. Hey, Katie, can you imagine Jonah being in charge of you at 18?
No.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that I wasn't the only one thinking of that nightmare. Wow. Wow, I'm even trying to think of like my brother being in charge of my mom at 18 and how horrific that would go down as well. Wow.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
Until 2011, women were not allowed to vote or run for public office. So improving a little bit.
Right. Here's some progress.
2013, a governing body of theirs, they have to like legally have at least 20% women.
Okay.
I think it's kind of like on their, what we would call like a Congress or House of Representatives kind of thing.
Okay.
Even though they have a king. So I'm not sure.
Is this a backup system?
I don't know. I think there's like king gets final word on all the stuff, but I think it's just like a whole bunch of paperwork to like prove what you want to the king, and then he can either say yes or no. I'm not an expert on any of this stuff.
Right.
And I'm still trying to understand it. But that seems to be kind of like what it is.
Sure. Weird. All right.
Yeah.
To each his own. Paperwork. Yay.
Before 2019, women were required to get permission slips from their guardians to travel abroad. Like they literally had to have a slip of paper that is like, you may leave the country.
You may. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And
that's on top of like a passport and not a driver's license.
They weren't even allowed to have passports or IDs until like, I want to say like the 80s.
Oh, gotcha.
Something. It was like it was more recent than you would hope that it would be. Wow. Because with Sharia law, a lot of them weren't allowed to have like their photos taken.
Oh, okay.
Like their faces on their IDs, like the big thing that they had. And then some places let them have IDs, but like the guardian held the ID.
Okay.
For them, like they weren't allowed to walk around with their ID.
Right.
But they were like, well, you should always have your guardian with you in public anyway. It's all
interesting.
shenanigans.
Weird. I will say this is slightly, very, very, very teeny tiny slightly reminding me when Josh was in the military, when they asked for your social security number, they meant the enlisted person. So basically me and my children, we didn't exist. Our social security was his. But that was because, well, okay, you know, he's our employee. He's a government, you know, so I'm like, okay, it's still demeaning though. And so that's like a teeny tiny bit of what these women are experiencing.
But in 1990, a group of women drove in protest of a driving ban.
Look at that.
Which is funny because there is technically no law banning women from driving.
Oh, it's frowned upon?
Like there is no law. There is like religious law.
Okay.
Which they are fighting. They're like, prophets' wives were allowed to ride camels. Why can't I drive?
Can I have a camel instead? I would prefer a camel than
have like camel stampede.
Yes,
like
absolutely.
And then women are technically banned from public transportation. Like technically, but it's like rarely if ever enforced.
Okay.
Because they're like, oh, if you go on public transport, it might be bad.
Ooh, that bus.
There's been suggestions of having like a women-only transport.
Sure.
Like a woman-safe transport, but then they were like, well, that would just encourage women to leave the house.
Right. Right.
So there's no winning.
Can't have that.
Oh goodness. And I am not going to be the best at pronouncing these women's names.
Gotcha. Do the best you can. You got this.
The first woman is Loujain. Oh goodness.
We need to get Eden on the phone, don't we?
Yeah, I need to.
Eden is
I
our
had
translator.
It in my head earlier, and like I listened to audio things, and I'm like, I got this.
And then Texas.
I know it. I think it's Loujain al-Halthloul. I know that's not right.
Okay.
But we'll just insert a clip of the correct pronunciation.
Correct.
Later.
It will be in the show notes, and then I will insert it where suddenly Bonnie sounds like a robot from Google.
Goodness. But she is the woman who recently drove and was arrested for driving and was recently released.
Oh, gotcha.
But the ban comes from a council's recommendation to the king from some professor dude's study that claimed that the percentage of rape, adultery, illegitimate children, drug abuse, and prostitution is higher in countries where women drive than in countries where women do not drive.
Really?
There is one country where women are not allowed to drive.
Did he talk to that one guy from the 700 Club?
There's one country.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
I hate to interject, but don't all those things happen in countries where men are allowed to drive too?
Mm-hmm. And where are the majorities of those rapes and accidents?
And who's causing all those rapes and children and I don't want to.
It's supposed to be like their religious law. I forget what it's called, but it's like kind of like a word that kind of means like unclean.
Well,
kind of. But their theory is that their country, like women should not be around those types of men. If you are only around these religious men, then nothing bad will ever happen to you.
And if you can't drive to them, then obviously you can't get to the bad ones because the bad ones are only within driving distance.
Because, rapes only happen from strangers. They never happen from people you know.
And only if you drive there.
But
this is totally sound theory. Okay.
Women in Saudi Arabia are allowed to fly planes, but they cannot drive.
Okay, that hits me in the funny. I can't fly a plane. No one should trust me to fly a plane. I'm now questioning whether anybody should let me drive a car. But that's besides the point. I have a license. Somebody said I was okay. They can fly planes, but they can't drive cars. Is there a theory behind that?
I don't know.
Is it the wheels?
I don't know if it's the cockpit. I don't know.
The amount of money involved? The cockpit. Oh, body.
It's this barrier. Allows no cocks in the cockpit. Yeah.
It's the only thing it could be.
Cock anti-pit. Anti-cockpit?
It's a cock block for sure.
Yeah. But
we are terrible.
but Loujain? I feel bad.
I'm seeing body shame spiral. Again, if you're watching the video.
Amazing woman.
Yes.
Was arrested in 2014 for driving across the border from the United Arab Emirates into Saudi Arabia, even though she held a UAE license.
Oh.
So she had a license in another country to drive. She was crossing the border. As soon as she got to Saudi Arabia, she was arrested.
Wow.
Yep.
Why do they even have that license then? Oh, for men? Okay.
But the ban was lifted on June 24th, 2018.
Ah.
And I think they announced in 2017 that it was going to be lifted and to like prepare their BMWs. But more than 120,000 women applied for licenses on that first day.
Nice.
It's amazing. And do you guys remember when this happened?
I do, kind of.
The memes about all these women drivers being released on Saudi Arabia. I was like, yeah. The worst drivers I know are men, hands down.
The worst ones I know are teenagers, and I'm not even going to specify a gender because I feel like all teenagers are trying to kill me at 3:25 p.m.
Yeah.
There's a really good bit of Trevor Noah from like the day that this happened, and they're interviewing. There's some kind of clip from some other news thing where they're talking to the Saudi Arabian woman, and she's on like a race car driving like test course. Yeah. And he's like making jokes about like how this woman's like, oh no, I just started learning driving today. And she's like, she is like the master of the race car driving, but then she doesn't drive. Like she just picked it up today.
She's a fast learner.
Yes.
Amazing.
Oh goodness. But however, the super awesome, amazing woman was arrested in May of 2018. Oh. So shortly before the ban was listed, she was arrested for driving, being convicted of terrorism because they associate activism with terrorism. Mm. And she was sentenced to 6 years in prison.
For driving?
Yeah, and she was kept in some kind of like unofficial prison. Her family didn't know like where she was, what had happened to her, nothing.
She's like a solitary confinement, sort of.
Well, when she was
or at least just separated from her family.
When she was in prison, she was tortured, electrocuted, flogged, held in solitary confinement, and sexually abused. Which is funny, but not funny, because they don't want her to drive, so she won't be sexually assaulted.
This silence is the silence of defiance. So in other words, she's literally damned if she does and damned if she doesn't. Oh my glob. Wow.
But she was held for 1,001 days. She has a 5-year travel ban, so she cannot leave the country for 5 years. Yay! She has 3 years of probation. And when she was released, she was forced to sign a pledge. Because that's like the thing. Anytime they find a woman driving, like most of the time they pull them over. They have them sign this pledge. So promise you won't ever drive again.
Oh my gosh.
They do all these pledges. Like I'm still trying to understand like how
that like
works in their system.
Pinky swear?
Yeah,
I'm
it
just
seems
kidding.
like it's like I promise I won't ever drive again.
Is she allowed to? I was gonna say, is she allowed to fly airplanes anymore?
So now she is an international pilot.
But she's forced to sign a pledge before her release not to commit any of the crimes she was convicted, of before, which is basically being an activist, talking to journalists, demanding women's rights.
That's the problem.
And also that she cannot discuss her time in prison and cannot celebrate her release publicly.
Wow. It's don't cause any trouble.
So she's released, but not free. And there's many other women. I think when they arrested her, they arrested like 13 women. Like there's many other women still in prison.
Oh, gotcha.
Her sister Linda is a lawyer, and I'm not sure if she is still in Saudi Arabia or is in like the UK. I mean, I'm sure she's not going to advertise where she is.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah.
But she is like a lawyer, which makes me think she's not in the country anymore.
That's what I would try to assume.
Certain professions they're allowed to be.
Right. Plus, wouldn't that involve driving? Sorry, I couldn't.
Maybe.
Damn it, I can't be serious.
But her sister speaks for her, since she cannot.
Okay.
And it's suspected that she was released in February of 2021 because Biden has a more human rights priority where the last administration did not.
Really? Tell me more. Wait.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like it.
Yeah.
Arrgh.
So the other woman.
Yes.
Yes, is Manal al-Sharif.
Oh, okay.
Better about pronouncing that one, but still, my apologies. She has both. She is out of the country. She has given a TED Talk and has spoken the Oslo Freedom Forum. I wrote speech. Freedom Forum.
Okay.
But she says like a lot of these crackdowns were because of a 1979 siege on Mecca. So to prevent another uprising, which by the way was made up of 400 men, women
right
were removed as announcers on TV. Printing images of women were banned. Women employment was limited to just education and healthcare.
Okay.
Separation of gender was enforced, and houses have 2 entrances. So it's like very reminiscent of like slave quarters.
Ooh,
you have to go in the other door.
Right. Yeah.
But
terrifying.
In 2011, they had this whole campaign about June 17th. It was like a date that they picked to like that's their activism day.
Okay.
But she recorded a video like talking about the day and like what it meant, and then she also recorded a video of her driving, and it went viral and was arrested the next day.
Oh, yeah.
She was released 9 days later, but on June 17th, over 100 women drove and none were arrested.
Oh, was there a strength in numbers situation, perhaps?
I don't know. They said that they like the authorities like knew about it, and they had like police out like watching for this stuff to happen. But I don't know if they were just supposed to be there and not do anything.
Right.
I don't know. But like they were there, but no one was arrested.
Interesting. Progress? Question mark.
But then I did stumble on another video when I was trying to research this from a former princess of Saudi Arabia. The interview she gave in 2012 with the Wall Street Journal. And her name is Ameera al-Taweel.
Okay.
She met her future husband when she was 18.
Okay.
And she interviewed him for a school newspaper, and there's a 28-year difference. But this dude...
Different strokes, different folks.
I don't know. This dude, he's so weird. Like, the whole thing is so weird. Like, it's creepy. He is, at one point, was the 7th richest man in the world.
Okay.
He's a top shareholder of Citibank. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he is the top voting shareholder of 21st Century Fox.
Oh. Fun. I have no opinions about 20th Century Fox whatsoever. Oh my God.
But he had been married, this was his 4th marriage.
Okay.
Which all ended in divorces.
I'm sure they were all the woman's fault.
The first marriage was to his first cousin.
Right.
Like, just straight up first cousin.
Like first, not even third. Didn't even bother, just first cousin.
He was like 18 or 19. I don't know how old she was when it happened.
I guess it doesn't matter. I mean, it's a cousin.
They did recently pass the basically anti-child marriage law.
Okay.
Under 18 for either gender.
What about incest laws, perhaps?
I don't know about incest laws.
Might have been a wiser idea.
Polygamy is still very much a thing.
Yeah.
But only for men.
Oh, okay. Yes, right.
And they recently passed a thing. Apparently it was a thing that men were not required to tell their wives that they'd gotten a divorce.
Oh.
So I'm picturing men getting mad at their wife, going to the courthouse, like filing the paperwork, and then just like living with her for like years until she pissed them off again. And then it's like, you're just like, you know what? Actually, I divorced you years ago. You're homeless now. Like, get out of here. Like, I don't. So now they're required, when they file for divorce, the women receive a text message. Which is, I guess, progress?
Yes. Yes. Cool.
Like.
And I'm assuming it works the other way around, right? When women go file for divorce, then the ex-husband gets a text?
Women were given the right to divorce, I think.
Good.
Okay.
I think.
I love that it comes through text message now.
But maybe only if their guardian signs it.
Only their guardian.
Well, the guardian with I don't remember if they recently changed it, but at least at one point, if a woman had children and they got divorced, if the children were above a certain age, and there were different ages for different genders, I think like boys over 5 and women over like 9.
Okay.
Something like that.
Right.
Like, she legally could not get custody of them. Like she could only have the babies have custody of them. And I don't know if that custody changed as the children aged, or if that was just when like custody was established.
Right.
Like, it's so weird.
It might be still a kind of a fluid thing that's still kind of changing, but oh gosh.
But anyway, this lady,
yes,
she seems like pretty nice. You know, she's a former princess. She's like big into philanthropy.
Yeah,
when she was there, she was
I thought you were going to say something else. Yep.
Like humanitarian causes, you know, like hospitals and children, like all the good things. But she did speak out a little bit on human rights, and women's rights are humans too.
Yes, yeah, exactly right.
She went to university,
maybe
both in the U.S. and the U.K.
Okay,
and I'm trying to figure out how that works in a country with Sharia law. Like, did they send someone there to watch her?
Maybe.
I don't know how that works.
Well, if she was a princess, she probably had some kind of bodyguard or team or something that would travel with her.
But it's also like common practice for them to go. I don't know.
Right.
But she's traveled to over 70 countries. So like she's very much aware of how conditions are in Saudi Arabia and not in Saudi Arabia.
Right.
But she has this interview, and it seems like it's like kind of, I don't know, I got like a little creeped out of like what she is maybe allowed to say.
Did she feel like she was kind of
not allowed,
guarding herself, sort of thing?
She was like promoting that like it's a democracy, that if the people want something, they just have to ask for it and the king will grant it. And it's like, it's not...
I mean, you can ask for it.
Yeah.
That
she was
part
making
maybe.
It sound like if enough people want a thing, they get together, you know, they put a thing in the system and the king will get it for them. And it's not really how that's going.
Yeah.
But rumor is that she was, her husband was pretty much forced to divorce her because they were given a warning about controlling her and what she was talking about.
Right.
And that they would not receive another warning. So I think
she had too much of a voice.
It sounded like there was some kind of amicable split up there, and they didn't have any children together.
Gotcha.
But there's something. But she's now married to some rich dude, and I think lives in the UK, and she still does a whole bunch of philanthropy stuff. But it's interesting that she was in such a position of power, and I think she was, trying to say that maybe all that she could, but I'm not sure what she was, like allowed to say about things. But it's so interesting. Like, she attended Kate Middleton and Prince, not Charles.
Oh my gosh, dude. William.
Yes.
There we go. Yes. The same school?
They attended their wedding. And they're
at the wedding. Oh.
And he's in like traditional garb. She looks like, typical British lady in like a nice spring dress and a little fancy hat.
Of course.
And I am very perplexed on how the Sharia law does not apply when you're traveling to other countries.
Gotcha. Or royalty or money, maybe. I don't
know, because she's giving this interview and she's in a pantsuit.
Gotcha.
And she's clearly showing her face.
Mm-hmm.
And I do not understand how all that stuff works.
Right. Dun, 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 dun. More research to be done.
Yes.
Maybe it's like a Las Vegas situation.
I don't know.
What happens in Vegas
stays in Saudi Arabia.
Right.
But yes, I wanted to research because I knew there was a woman who had been arrested and was released, and I didn't know who she was, so I was like, this is an opportunity to learn
more.
And about a whole bit, I wouldn't done a whole wormhole. Like, I don't know why. I clicked on a thing about LGBTQ rights in Saudi Arabia.
Oh my goodness.
There's none.
Okay, all right. I mean, that was gonna be I was gonna bet on that, but I didn't.
It's bad. I'm like, why did I even click on that?
I know, right? Oh no.
But yes.
Interesting. So my question is to you, when are you getting a pilot's license? Because this would be amazing.
Oh no, it's like it's nuts.
I'm also scared to fly, but
yeah,
I'll go in a plane with Bonnie.
That's also extreme, but it made me think of an instance with my mom when I was just a senior in high school. So that'd be 2002. We went on spring break together to New Orleans. And she was paying for our hotel room, and they wouldn't take her card because she'd been married to my dad since the 70s, and credit cards were always in the men's name. And she would always just sign it, Mrs. Kevin Kleindienst, and everybody would take it. But, it's 2000, and we're starting to be like, women can have their own credit cards in their own name, and we shouldn't use each other's credit cards. And so I still remember how upset and how embarrassed she was because she couldn't get the room because she didn't have a credit card that was in her own name.
Oh, wow.
Because that's how it had been set up, and that's how it had been so long. So as extreme as Saudi Arabia sounds, I mean, it really brings to mind how some of our rights are more recently fought for and accomplished than we'd like to think. I mean, I'm pretty old, but I'm not that old.
Well, women didn't have custody of their own children until Susan B. and Elizabeth Cady Stanton until the early 1900s.
Yeah,
could we get that?
I was going to bring that up too. Like, there are so many parallels where our country also does these things where we discriminate against women because I guess we're not people.
Right.
Marital rape was perfectly legal until the 90s.
Yeah.
Right.
The 1990s.
Yeah. And
the Clinton administration.
I live in South Dakota, and one thing that they were trying to pass through with our state legislature was getting rid of the no-fault divorce. And that divorce is really how a lot of people escape domestic abuse, because the person who's abusing them isn't going to agree to any public court hearing.
Fair.
And so a lot of people escape terrible abusive marriages by saying, nope, no fault divorce. And our state has been trying to take that away from women. Well, not just women, but I mean anybody who is
trying to seek a divorce.
Yeah.
But it's designed to really help an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
Where more women experience that.
Right.
So,
but we have a lot of religious family values and sarcastic air quote people who want to prevent divorce no matter what, no matter who's getting abused or who might die. And it's these things are creeping in back even after we've fixed some of these things.
Exactly. It's about to be the 1900s all over again.
I don't like the apocalypse.
Yeah, that's fair. Totally fair. Well, did anybody have any questions for Bon Bon and her Saudi Arabian driving team? That's what I want to call it.
Racing team.
Racing team. I like it. Let's see.
Thanks for sharing that, Bonnie.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when the news stories came out about Saudi Arabian women having the right to drive, but not any of the history behind it, or that they use that particular law to, you know, kind of, it sounds like, fight back for people that were activists for women's rights.
And it's weird because they have like a lot of like government laws, but then there's also like religious laws. Like there's literally like religious police officers out enforcing some of this stuff, and they're the ones that are giving the like the tickets for driving, like.
And then you have to make the promises.
Yeah, the pinky promises.
The pinky promises and the pledges.
I wonder if those are kind of like the people in Texas that are going to make a lot of women or a lot of money turning in women who get abortions.
Oh, no.
Are those our moral police?
Oh, no. Katie, I think you just gave them a great idea. Oh, no.
Oh, they already have that idea. It's already in motion.
Yeah, it's true.
They've already incentivized their moral policing.
Yeah.
Giant
And here,
witch trial going on there.
most of my life, I was worried about the fashion police. That's what I was really worried about. So
yeah, I told you guys I'm in a mad, dark place.
There you go. Well, I was also scared of the grammar Nazis too. So, but now the moral police. Oh no. Oh no.
But yeah, it looks like it's hopefully getting better for women in Saudi Arabia and just Middle Eastern countries in general.
It's a difficult, it's going to be a difficult road. Look what I did there, because it's cards, driver's license. Difficult road, but one worth traveling.
And then we've got all this stuff going on with the Afghan women.
Yes, Afghanistan's a mess. Yes.
And I tried to look up organizations to like donate to.
Gotcha, ways to help. Yeah. That's a good point.
Everything's just so recent. I couldn't feel comfortable giving a whole bunch of like good, like legit ones. But I know the Malala Fund is it's not directly for Afghan women, but it is for
the education of women.
Education.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's kind of adjacent to.
Right.
I know that's like definitely a good one, and it seems like there are some like Red Cross.
Gotcha.
Kind of efforts.
You and I can totally look up some and put them in the show notes. That way they can be direct links. That way you can put your anger energy into action and try to help out. And if anybody who's listening, knows of a great organization, please let us know. And we will totally we will promote the living crap out of that. So yes, please. Fantastic. Should I wrap it up? Because I started out. All right, so I'll wrap it up. So that wraps up our first episode on Activist Gals for this week. So join us next week as our next gal pal shares her one cool activist gal as the Gals Guide podcast continues. Thanks for listening. For show notes, links, and images from this week's show, visit galsguide.org. Want exclusive stuff like deleted bits and major bloopers? Become a Gals Guide patron today. Thanks for listening.